it seems that I almost know him. It's almost like going back to visit an old friend. You know, he's somebody I think about a lot. I've spent quite a lot of time trying to research William Ward, his life, his time at school, his service in the RAF. I teach at the school that he was a boy at, Daniel Stewart's College in Edinburgh, now Stewart's Melville College. On the headstone is the inscription, "Never Unprepared." That is very, very unusual because that is the school motto. It was the motto of Daniel Stewart's College when he was there in the 1930s and 1940. It's still the school's motto now. All the things that we have are in these original school records here. So we can see him joining the school. The N on the document there means that he's a new pupil. His house there, his address, 11 Orchardfield Avenue in Corstorphine. His birthday on the 11th of February 1923, and when he joined the school he was 6 years and 5 months of age. And as you can see, no brothers in the school, so he was an only child. He was posted out to 12 Squadron in Wickenby in Lincolnshire, which is in the east of England, and with a number of different crews. He flew a series of different operations in what was known as the Battle of the Ruhr, trying to tear the industrial heartland out of Germany to cripple its war production. And in 1943, when they were travelling back from a raid, they suffered an engine failure, which meant that they had to leave the bomber stream, and flying back low out of the protection of the other aircraft, they were picked off by a German night fighter, and the aircraft was shot down, and William was killed.
The Lancaster crashed over the IJsselmeer, 10 kilometers west of Harderwijk. On board were 7 crew members. 2 of them managed to save themselves using a parachute. 5 crew members died, including bomb aimer Sergeant William Middleton Ward, 20 years old. A teacher from Stewart's Melville College, the Honourable Mr. Clark, has been a regular visitor to our May the 4th commemoration in the Netherlands. And it's partly thanks to him that we are here today on Remembrance Day with students and teachers of the Almere College and, of course, the board members of the Dronten May the 4th Remembrance Foundation to remember the fallen.
Het begon met Dave Clark, die in 2019 naar Nederland kwam. Op zoek ging naar de straat van William Ward, de Wardhof in Dronten. Ja, en toen ging het balletje eigenlijk rollen.
Mr. Clark die vroeg bij de 4 mei-herdenking afgelopen jaar, nou zou het iets zijn om een uitwisseling te doen. En op ogenblik zei ik, wat ik kan doen om daaraan mee te werken, count on me.
Here we actually have the exam results for the year 1939-1940, and it was in the May of 1940 that William left Daniel Stewart's college. And as we can see, here is his class marks for that year, and attaining a percentage of 77% over the whole year. So he was a very good geographer, and as a result of that, I think that must have helped him in his role as a bomb aimer, because they would have had to have done, you know, quite a deal of navigation when they were over the target. So he did quite well in geography. His earlier school reports are a little bit mixed, but at least he excelled in that. That's the main thing. We have here a school photograph album from his time at the college, and this is a source of great frustration, because this is his class photograph, but nobody took the time to write the names on the back of the picture. So we presume that he is on here somewhere, but to this day, I don't know which one.
De bijzonderheid is natuurlijk dat wij in Dronten hebben wij de op 3 of 4 na grootste herdenking van Nederland. En dat op een plek waar in de Tweede Wereldoorlog een IJsselmeer was. Dus was helemaal geen land. En ik heb ze verteld dat hoe bijzonder het is dat op het moment dat je dan het land gaat droogleggen, er Lancaster bommenwerpers naar boven komen met daarin ook bemanning. En dan heb ik ze verteld dat wij daar bemanning vonden, waaronder William Middleton Ward, naar wie we een straat vernoemd hebben, die begraven is op de Nieuwe Oosterbegraafplaats in Amsterdam.
En dat mensen dan hier vertellen dat William Ward hier op school heeft gezeten en dat wij dan kunnen vertellen, ja, maar het monument, de propeller van zijn vliegtuig, daar staan ieder jaar in mei zoveel mensen omheen. Ja, dat is heel speciaal.
I honestly couldn't believe it, to be perfectly honest, when I started researching the aircraft S for Sugar, and when I found out that not only had parts of the aircraft had been found, but had been put in at the very heart of a new community in the Netherlands, I was completely blown away. The fact that, you know, he was honoured, he was remembered, that there was a street named after him, that, you know, thousands of people would pass that monument every day, and maybe just spend just a little moment every now and again thinking, you know, about the crew and the sacrifices that, you know, all our troops made, Dutch as well as British, for our freedoms in the modern world. It absolutely blew me away, because a lot of the time in Britain, when it comes around to Remembrance Day, you know, we wear our poppy, but we remember sometimes just for a week at a time. So to think that there are people in the Netherlands that will pass that monument every day and maybe spare a thought for him, I just find incredible. Just so wonderful and moving. William Middleton Ward, 11 Orchardfield Avenue, Corstorphine, Edinburgh. Killed in action. He's from Corstorphine, which is a westward suburb of Edinburgh. So that is only maybe half an hour's walk away from here. So when I look out of my classroom window, I see Corstorphine Hill, and I think often of him walking over the hill. There's a wee shortcut over the path there that would have taken him to school. So when I look out of my window, I see the hill, I think about where he's from. So he's quite a local boy, yeah.
It is with great sorrow that we have heard that another of our young men has been posted missing from operations over Germany. Sergeant Observer William Ward, RAF. Our thoughts are very much with his parents in these anxious days of waiting. I know 11 Orchardfield Avenue. I can picture it, I walk past it. I have members who live in that street. And so these people, the individual names, the individual characters were people like us living in our community and in the houses we now live in. And although it's so many years ago now, yet somehow it feels very present that they are still of us, one of our community. And William was a Christopherite. He was born and brought up here and lived here with his parents. He was one of us, and every year we remember the names of the individual people and remember that they are still with us in that sense. So for his parents who went missing, it must have felt devastating that even though the war raged in Europe, here there was this sense of keep calm and carry on, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, their hearts were torn from their chests and this tragedy was inflicted upon them. I imagine coming to church on a Sunday morning must have been very difficult for them, but maybe they found solace in their friends and in the congregation who were aware, nevertheless, of the war and may have suffered themselves as a consequence of it.
They must be Williams because we don't know anybody else who. And I'm sorry that the back has. But this is the Second World War. My dad was about 6 years younger, maybe, than William, but he just talked fondly of him. He very much admired his older cousin, and I know that.
The one in the middle is really quite a rare medal. This is the Aircrew Europe Star, and the ribbon is quite symbolic because the central blue stripe is meant to represent the blue sky and the sky blue of the RAF uniforms. The black stripe is meant to represent the blackout, the dark nights that they travel through over Germany, and the yellow stripe is meant to represent the searchlights sort of shining up to try and stop them, sort of thing. So there is the story of William's struggle in one in one piece of ribbon. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Even to this day, a very rare medal because not all of the Bomber Command crews got one of these medals.
At the commemoration on the 4th of May, air gunners have come to commemorate together with the Dutch people, the people of Dronten, for decades. And at the bottom of the sea, the land won, the air gunners slept as host families, and in this way, long-standing friendships developed between the veterans and the inhabitants, the residents of Dronten. And unfortunately, last year, Mr. Ron Powers passed away. He was our last veteran that came to Dronten.
My dad in May 22. This photograph was taken when we were in Holland, in Dronten, this last year. And my father died in the beginning of July.
Always great to be with young people, especially those who have a particular interest afterwards. Particularly those from the Almere College were engaging me in conversation about what I'd shared and what we talked about, but great to be here and wonderful that the school here has remembered that link of William Ward, and there's a street named after him, of course, in Dronten, and that has encouraged a link here, which I think is wonderful. And we were talking how people die. My father was the last air gunner to be able to visit Dronten in May and died in a couple of months later. But wonderful that the link is now between two places, which will hopefully last the generations.
For years, a question has been under attention in Dronten. How will we continue the commemoration when there are no more veterans?
Mijn opa en oma leven niet meer, die kunnen het verhaal niet meer vertellen. De veteranen zijn er niet meer, die kunnen het verhaal niet meer vertellen. Dus we moeten het aan elkaar door blijven vertellen.
As a burgomaster of the municipality of Dronten, I am particularly pleased that students from the Elmira College are here today to join you, students from Stewart's Melville College, to take time for remembrance on Remembrance Day. And I sincerely hope that this is the start of an exchange between the two schools, so that together you can reflect on what safety and freedom means to you. And one day, your children and your grandchildren also.
Jean-Paul legt een kans, maar realiseert zich tegelijkertijd dat ook de burgemeester van Dronten een kans legt. En daarmee geef ik een symbool dat ook ik als burgemeester het belangrijk vind dat er herdacht wordt. Maar vooral dat er herdacht wordt door de jeugd van tegenwoordig. Dus de scholieren van het Almere College. Dat die hier zijn om inhoud te geven aan Remembrance Day, de 11 november, wat bij ons dan 4 mei is.
It's happened only by chance, really. But I don't believe in chance, I believe in fate, and so actually this has come together just at the right time for the link of Dronten, and to make sure that though the air gunners link will never be forgotten, it will change and has changed in this last year or two. And we look forward to having a group from the college here come to Dronten and to continue that link with the young people especially. It'll be great to do.
I will be bringing a group of our students over to the 4th of May commemorations, and we will see the propeller monument. We will go to Wardhof, and it would be lovely if we can go out and actually visit the crash site. We will go to the air gunners room and to learn a little bit more.
History is always alive. It's not about the past. It's about what's doing in our lives today, and for the young people to know what happened in the past and to hear that from even second-hand voices is enormously valuable.
So to be here and to see his name, it gives me a real sense of completion. Never unprepared. And to see that school inscription on his headstone, it really brought it home to me how much that school must have meant to him, how much it must have been formative on his character, how much he enjoyed being there, how much he learned being there. Quite incredible.